So now the families, at least one family, is planning to sue Washington State University because remember, he was a teacher there and he was acting in a weird way towards students, towards others, and people were creeped out by him. And so it's Steve and Chrissy Goncalves. That's the parents of victim Kaylee Goncalves. They intend to file a tort claim. So we're not talking about criminal law here, talking about civil law, much easier to prove. You only need a preponderance of the evidence. And they're going to, which is just as more likely than not that the university breached its duty of care. And I don't know, do they have a duty of care here that if they see some weirdo on campus that they have to banish him from campus? And if they even did banish him from campus, he could have still done this atrocity anyways. So I don't know about this lawsuit. What do you guys think? How about you, Arthur? What do you think about this tort claim?
To tie in what you just said, and as a storied prosecutor yourself about your ethical obligations before you bring a case, and a prosecutor has those ethical obligations, a lawyer filing a civil lawsuit does not have the same obligations, right? You're not trying to put someone in jail, take away somebody's liberty.
You have to be ethical, though.
You have to, but you're allowed to go on a fishing expedition. And if you notice, they haven't filed in this particular case a full lawsuit. They put a notice like we're thinking about it, and it gives them some ability, I think, to use a subpoena power. And the lawyer is saying, we just need to know more about what happened and figure out if this could have been prevented. And there's some stuff there, David, that does raise an eyebrow. He was more than just a creep walking around campus. In civil law, there's a notice provision in certain circumstances. Did you know there was a pothole there before the woman fell and broke her leg? Those kinds of, was the government on notice that was a problem? Well, here, it seems like there were a couple of very specific complaints about this guy, scaring people. A woman said, I refused to go on a date with him, and he cornered me several times, and I was afraid to walk home alone. And a neighbor said they saw someone lurking outside my window. There were like 2 or 3 different complaints against him that may have put, and I bet you now, because of this case, other campuses would be a little bit more proactive in investigating and taking a look at who this creep was.
Don't you think that's a bridge too far, slippery slope? I mean, how is it foreseeable that a guy who's a creep on a college campus is going to end up murdering 4 people off campus? I think that the plaintiffs, potential plaintiffs, would lose based on the foreseeability element because it's just simply not there. But having said that, I agree with you. They probably had to put the campus, the university on notice. Maybe there's a statute of limitations coming up. Maybe they just had to preserve that in some regard. Or maybe it's strategy where they say, look, we're going to come after you. We're going to try to dig as far as the court will let us dig. Maybe the university will quietly settle.
That's what I'm thinking, Jonna.
That's maybe why they did it.
The sympathy factor here is on another scale, right?
True.
I mean, there are very few cases that are this disturbing. I will compliment whatever judge prevented the crime scene photos from being released, because they were, after he took the plea and he was sentenced, there was some application to have the crime scene photos released. The judge said no on behalf of the families. God bless that judge for doing the right thing. But in a case like this, can you see the insurance company from the university saying, okay, why don't we sit down quietly and we'll give each family X amount of dollars?
Absolutely.
But here's the thing.
Yep.
I get all that. But if these were students who were murdered on campus at Washington State by this creep, I get a lawsuit. But the students who were murdered didn't come from Washington State. They were in another state altogether, University of Idaho at Moscow, Idaho. And so what does, as John said, how is it foreseeable, or where's the causation that anything he did by creeping out women on Washington State's campus led to the tragic quadruple homicide in Moscow, Idaho?
Fantastic point that the defense will make.
That's the question. And here's the problem with this case, as you both pointed out, it garners so much sympathy or empathy from the world that it's going to be difficult to challenge for that reason. You can't come in, you can't be, Arthur Aidala jumping on the table, arguing against paying the parents of these victims money because people are going to, fire and brimstone. I think, because of
You
the
know, Jonna,
sympathy
I really did jump on the table once when I was a
factor.
prosecutor.
I
And
have no doubt.
and it was David, you'd appreciate it. There was a prosecutor. It was a one witness ID case of a robbery, and the one witness who identified the defendant, he was pretty far away. However, he was a construction worker, and he was on one of those big asphalt rollers. So I went out to the scene. I found an asphalt roller. I saw how high it was, and I saw like where his line of sight would have been. No eyewitnesses in my summation. He said, and I told the judge ahead of time, and he was like, "All right, do whatever you got to do, Artie."
All
Judge
right,
John
Aidala.
Delory, God bless him. I was like, folks, he didn't just see him right from here from street level. I go, look where he was. And I at that time, I was 25, 26. I just jumped up onto the table and I go, look at me. I'm on the top of the world. I was doing a Leonardo DiCaprio thing on the Titanic. I was like, I can see everything from up here. And sure enough, after they convicted him, when I saw the jury in the hallway, I remember two of the jurors were like, you know, Mr. Aidala, I definitely had reasonable doubt. Then you jumped on that table and you're like, yeah, he did have a different point of view. He could see things differently. He did have a positive ID. And there you go.
Well, you know what they say, right? If you have the facts on your side, you pound the facts. If you have the law on your side, you pound the law. And you've got neither on your side, you pound the table. Or if you're Arthur Aidala, you jump on the table, and it works.